one, go. Sorry, go.
Hi, welcome to Live with Laura, everybody. I'm here with Raylan Sandin. I'm going to introduce her in just a second. We are here for the end of Meditation Mondays and starting Live with Laura because we finished all of our learning and we celebrated last week with a lot of card pulls. And I do have some names to pull from my bowl because I had lots of people share out. So make sure you share out again this week, guys. Likes, hearts, share it out because you get a chance to win a free session with me. A free session of your choice. I would recommend the Akashic record session personally, but we'll get on to that later on, okay? So what we've done is we've talked about different ways to meditate, different tools we can use to meditate. And now what we're shifting to is I'm going to be having different people on to join us so that we can talk about different healing modalities and energy healing and spiritual healing practices that Raylan and I have both tried to help ourselves heal and recover. So Raylan Sandin is a transformational coach and an empowerment healer. And she is located in Arizona and I am located in New York. So we are across the country from each other, but we actually met at Nick Pereira's, what was it called? Like a
Blueprint. It was a weekend blueprint.
Yeah, like building, like getting information about how to kind of share your message. And we were immediately drawn to each other. And since then, we've been, helping each other heal. In addition to, I've joined a couple of her communities, which are fantastic. And we'll talk about those later. But I want to start today with, you know what I'm going to do first? I'm going to draw a name first before I ask your story, Raylan, because I'm going to forget.
Yep, do it.
It would be pretty funny if you won the free session again.
That would be actually awesome.
Let's see who it is. Yvonne Benner. She's amazing with sharing. She and I got to connect last week. And I'm so happy she won this because she is
Yvonne.
So hard to kind of get out of her space. And that's awesome. Yvonne, if you're not live, I'm going to tag you and send you a private message so we can connect, okay?
Random weirdness right here.
Yeah.
Useless information popping up in my head. But if you guys remember the Pee Wee Herman show back in the day when it started on HBO, oh, Miss Yvonne! Oh, Captain Carl! Oh, Miss Yvonne!
Oh, his
head. Sorry. I thought it was funny. Not that I'm making fun of your name, Miss Yvonne. I'm not. It's a good memory that was floating up to the top. Again, random.
I'm sure that we're love Yvonne. Yes.
Thank you.
Yeah. Okay, so Raylan, why don't you start by telling us, your story, whatever you want to share in terms of, what has brought you to this healing path. And I know it's probably really, really long, so you can kind of truncate it, please. But
you don't know me.
Just share a little bit of how you got to this place.
Oh, okay, well, I'll try. Oh, Inez and Marla are saying hi. Hi. Sorry, squirrel moment. Shiny squirrel. Yes.
Yeah,
shiny squirrel.
Tech issues this morning, friends. Oh, hi. See, it looks beautiful up there on the screen. We were having
it does.
So it ends up that Ray actually the host and seeing the comments. Don't worry, we're gonna fix it. We know how to fix it for the next time. But I'm gonna be kind of responding to her direction when it comes to comments because I can't do those on my end. Okay? All right. So I love you all. Go ahead, Ray. Your story.
Okay. So, oh wow, man, it is a long story and it's really hard. My dad always says that I weave webs like a spider. You could call me Charlotte in that way. Ooh, my guide is named Charlotte.
There we go.
Anyway, so basically, so as most individuals, I would say probably that are drawn to healing, are healers, awakening, etc., they come to realize that there's differences and unique things about them when they're children, especially. And I am no exception to that. Though I will say that I firmly believe and I'm convinced that every single human being has these abilities. It's just whether or not they want to tap into them and develop them and have, individuals in their lives who kind of give them the room and the space to develop that.
Mm-hmm.
When I was a child, I did not have that necessarily. I had a few adults in my life that were okay with it. My grandmother being one of them, and a couple of my uncles, and other family friends and whatnot. But just knew that there were different things about me. I would share messages with my mom and say things, and I don't recall what those things were entirely, though. The reaction that I got was pretty, well, let's just say I used to get in trouble because she thought that I was maybe listening in on her conversations, and I had no idea what she was talking about. So frequently would get in trouble for that. But then learned very early on that, oh, okay, so there's different ways to talk to people and share with people what's going on, maybe insights that I receive, and or some people that you just don't speak with it about, basically. So fast forward to about 2012, I was living in Kansas and was working. I am a hairstylist. Well, I was. That's a former iteration of my life in this lifetime. I've had thousands of lifetimes, I think, in this one lifetime. So I was working at a school of wellness and beauty, and we taught cosmetology, nails, makeup, aesthetics, and massage therapy. And there was one of my students, her husband came in, and he was a Reiki master teacher, and came in to begin teaching Reiki to anyone in the school that was interested. And I had heard of Reiki several decades before that, and had been very, very interested. So I began my journey with Reiki, and eventually became a master teacher within about a year. So that kind of propelled me into this world and on this journey. But I would say probably within the last, really honestly owning who I am and stepping forward as me, and doing the healing space and getting involved, as a soulpreneur, which Coach Nick and Emily would tell us we are, right?
Right.
And so I've basically been doing that really full time with full intent and energy toward it and all of that since about December of last year. So really about 8 months. So things have really accelerated. Yeah.
Yeah, you've been growing leaps and bounds. And I know you don't see that all the time, but you are growing leaps and bounds.
Thank you. Thank you. I also, during that journey, learned hypnosis. I went through school in Tarzana, California, the Hypnosis Motivation Institute. Highly recommend it. Dr. John Kappas and his brother Alex Kappas began and founded the school, and they made wonderful strides in legislation for licensure and for recognition for hypnotherapists and hypnotists all over the country. And his son, George Kappas, runs the school now. So shout out to HMI. HMI, go. Woo. So, yeah. And I'm, I always constantly learning. I am taking my quantum healing certification next weekend. So I'm very excited about that. And certified Ho'oponopono practitioner.
The emotion code.
The emotion code, yes. I'm getting certified. I'm almost there. I just really have to just enter in the people that I've worked on with emotion code. Right. But that has transformed my business and my approach, and also the work by Byron Katie too.
Yeah. So I mean, I think that's one of the things that really informs your work too, is the personal work that you've done on yourself, right? It's not just that, like, okay, I realized that I had these abilities and I'm kind of working through them and figuring out how to channel it and all of that, but it's also that you've done your own a lot of personal work and transformation that has allowed you to have a level of compassion and understanding for the people that you work with that really transcends somebody who hasn't really gotten deep and excavated, you know?
Yes. Yeah, absolutely.
So naturally, and you're able to pick up very quickly on what's going on with people, you know?
Well, thank you for
that. You know?
Yes.
So why don't we start? I'll tell a little bit about my story. I'm sure a lot of you that are watching probably already know, but I've always been a very sensitive human. I always was when I was little, and it was always just chalked up to sensitivity. And, I started getting a bunch of, I guess, messages from the universe hitting me over the head for a number of years. And I even told girlfriends of mine, like, I think the universe is trying to send me a message. And of course I didn't listen because I didn't really fully believe in that. I was always very spiritual. In fact, I was signed up to go to the seminary. I don't even know if you know this, Raylan, that I was signed up to go to the seminary after college because I was a Presbyterian minister. And my stepfather told me that I cursed too much to be a minister.
Well, he called that one right, I think.
Probably true. This is probably
he knew you a little bit.
Yeah. Point there. So, but the problem really there was my husband, because, he was fantastic and fabulous. And if I moved all the way to Pittsburgh and went to the seminary, I would never see him. And I kind of liked him too much. So he sucked me in.
So it's his fault.
It's his
Thank
fault.
you, Dino. Thank you, Dino. Thank you.
His fault. So, as we talk about not blaming others, it's his fault. So,
Right.
So I got all these messages from the universe, and then I obviously wasn't listening. So I got really knocked down hard a few years ago when I got very sick. I was hospitalized with sepsis, and they found an immunodeficiency, and I have to do plasma infusions every other week. Now in the comfort of my home, which is exciting. But, I really, in terms of healing, I had some progress. So I started really looking into alternative healing methods. And some of these friends, I would get on with people face to face like this, and they'd be waving their arms. And I'm like, what the hell did I get myself into? Like, what is this? And it works. It's amazing. And my husband would say to me, listen, like, I'm skeptical, but you're happy and you're healthier and you're doing better. So what am I to say, right? And it's just been from there, and I've just become, full on believer, obviously, and I'm diving in more and more to my own work. This is, I think, a process for all of us. So I started with getting Reiki certified. I've been a therapist for 15 years, so I obviously already do this work of transformation with people, but I really do feel like this is a separate healing method, right? Thank you for sharing, friends. I feel like it's really a separate healing method where it goes much deeper than my therapy work with people has been able to do. And it's not a limit on the therapeutic techniques, right? It's just, it's a different type of work. It taps into your subconscious, that cellular memory that we hold when we have traumatic experiences, or any experiences for that matter. So, so I got Reiki certified, Reiki 1 and Reiki 2. And I might do my master with Ray Lynn. We'll see how nice she is to me today. I'm almost done with my certification with the Akashic Records. I finished all the coursework, and I've just been doing the readings, the kind of intro. So I only have a few left, and then I'm done. So that's pretty exciting. And I want to get into the Akashic Records, but I want to first, Raylan, do you want to talk just a little bit about Reiki so that people understand what it is if they're not familiar with it?
Sure, absolutely. So Reiki is literally translated as universal life force energy, and it is spiritual energy that is apart and outside and separate from us as human beings. So it is not common to, or contrary to, what most people perceive. It is not me or another practitioner giving you our energy. And Reiki exists on its own. It began with, well, it has always been, right? But it was brought to our awareness through Dr. Mikao Usui back around 1921, 1922, last century. And he went on a pilgrimage for about a 21-day pilgrimage to Mount Moriah, I believe it was. And that's where he received the attunements. And by his own hand, by his own story, he received the attunements from Christ himself. So I know a lot of people dispute that, etc. Regardless, Reiki it's not a religion. It's not something for us to believe in. It literally exists on its own energy, and it works regardless of whether or not the individual believes in it or believes in its efficacy. There's a lot of, I would say, applications or misunderstandings, I guess, essentially, of what Reiki can do, etc. And I won't go into all of that today because we could be here for hours and it would bore most people. But I will say this, that the only limits that Reiki has are, well, Reiki itself doesn't have any limits. The only limits that exist, I would say, live in the mind of the practitioner, right? So it's our human desire to contain and control and kind of box in and kind of define, etc., and move and guide our world as we do every day, right? That puts any kind of limitations on Reiki at all. So,
well, and I would say your thoughts on this, like this limitation could be how receptive the person is, how much, like the person who's receiving Reiki are that, because you need somebody's permission to send Reiki. That doesn't mean it. I wonder.
Yeah.
Go ahead.
Oh, you're frozen. Sorry. Yeah, I would say yes. You need it as a caveat, to be polite, etc. But I will say this, though, that we can, and I do frequently, send Reiki to the individual's higher self. The soul knows what the human physical form needs, correct? Right? So when the human is ready to accept, if they're ready to accept, then it is there for them. So yes, on a human level, I always ask for permission. Any time that I have a client come to me, even though they've booked an appointment with me, etc., I still always make sure that we are on the same page as far as they have verbally stated, yes, they're there to receive Reiki or to go through a hypnosis session or whatever it is that we're working on. And I only do that because it is then the agreement from that individual, right, that buys into the intention of what that space is being held for. Does that make sense?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. So
questions, let us know about that.
Yeah. So
yeah, and what does Reiki look like? For me, I'm often called to send Reiki within the Akashic records, which I can tell you guys about in a minute. But Reiki, if you're at a distance like we are now, I mean, we can send Reiki by either visualizing or using the Reiki distance symbol to send that to somebody who's further away. And really, the person who's receiving it doesn't have to do anything but really move their breath, relax, and be in a position of receipt. So we can kind of send it. You can use crystals in Reiki. We use different symbols that we can either draw over the energy field, or so it's a very relaxing scenario for the person who's receiving Reiki. You really don't have to do anything, except
highly meditative. And Reiki works on the emotional, the physical, the mental, and the spiritual planes. So, I've often had clients say, is there anything I need to do to prepare? Or, is there let me tell you a specific area I'd like to work on, et cetera. And I always just let them know, I appreciate you letting me know that, but Reiki will do what Reiki needs to do. And sometimes it's not what we perceive in the moment that we need so much as Reiki, again, is a divine intelligence, right? It's spiritual energy. And so it knows exactly what we need, just like God, source, universe knows exactly what our prayers, what our intentions, what our requests are, etc., knows how to answer those in a way that we actually really need, rather than gimme, 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 and what I want,
Because we're human.
Yeah, right.
In fact, one of my family members is getting knee surgery in a few weeks. And when he went to the hospital the first time, I guess he went for like a seminar to learn about, what they do and what the process looks like so that he can decide whether he wanted to have surgery there. And then when they went back for their kind of scheduling visit and, okay, we're definitely going with you, et cetera, what they had said was that Reiki is a part of their treatment at that hospital.
Oh, that's awesome.
Anybody who's recovering from surgery or cancer treatment or anything like that. And what happened was, I guess, budget-wise, or it could have even been for another reason, that Reiki was removed for a period of time. And they saw huge changes in their patients' ability to recover and heal. They were taking long, and they kept data on this. It's a hospital. So they obviously tracked everything. And they had to bring it back. They had to bring it back because the level of healing and productivity that occurred when the Reiki was in place was just mind-boggling to the hospital. So
absolutely.
Yeah, it's just that trust, right? We trust that it is going where it needs to go, even if we leave a Reiki session and feel like, well, all right, I don't feel anything, or what happened there? Trusting that it went where it was supposed to go, and that at some level we're healed, even if it's not something we're aware of.
Right, 100%. And, when we talk about healing, though there are miracles, obviously, and I believe in those definitely, there's levels of healing, right? It could be that you receive more awareness and greater acceptance of what your situation is, or you understand and gain greater depth of insight as to how you got to where you are. It opens up deeper solutions for you to find and see in order to shift from where you're at now to expand to a different level, et cetera. So, and you definitely do have physical effects and responses to that, for sure. 100%.
Oh, yeah. First attunement. My body, it was super detoxing, because that's like really the physical level of attunement, like the physical attunement. Yes. And wow, it was like for a good month after that attunement, I was like definitely being cleared, and prepared for next steps. So, and that's the thing, when I started all this a few years ago, my mind kept trying to say, yeah, well, it's just coincidence that you feel better, or this, that, or the other.
Right.
It's undeniable to me at this point. It's completely undeniable, the level at which I have, seen healing and progress and transformation, not only in myself, but in other people. And the things I actually worked with my daughter last night. And she was like a hot mess last night, and her stomach was hurting and blah, blah, blah. And she's like, Mom, can you give me Reiki? So I did. Yeah. And then she had these messages come to her that blew my mind.
Wow, share.
Blew my mind. So, she's like not even 12. She's going to be 12 in a few months. And so she's like, I got this message that, that my stomach was saying to me that it wanted me to fear it, and it wants to entrap me so that I get wrapped up in it.
Wow. Yeah.
How did that come out of your mouth? So random. I don't know why I'm still surprised when things come through, but I still am.
I am too.
Because she's like a kid. Yeah. I don't know.
Yeah.
But, and because she's a big doubter. She's a big doubter and all this stuff. She makes fun of me, which is fine. We laugh about it. But, and then it's funny because one of the themes she's been telling me for a long time is, I don't want to be so guarded. I don't want to, trying to work on certain things with herself. And so we kind of follow the thoughts that came through during the Reiki session, and it ended her in, So at the end of the day, this leaves me really distant from people in my life. And I was
Yes.
like, oh my gosh, that's exactly what you wanted to work on.
Right.
It's crazy. So we wrote down like a bunch of stuff that we're going to use as journal prompts today.
Awesome.
That came through, which was so cool. But all right, so let us know, guys, if you have any other questions about Reiki, but I'm thinking we're going to move on to the Akashic Records now. Is that okay with you, Raylan?
Yes. Oh my gosh. Yes. 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 Yes.
So the Akashic Records, I did a post about this a couple of months ago. So some of you may have read it, and some of you have had Akashic Records sessions with me, but I will explain that the Akashic Records you can really envision as like a spiritual library. Okay. I picture it as like this library up in the clouds. Okay. Mm-hmm. And it's really manned and kind of protected by angels, divine ascended masters, divine beings, loved ones who have crossed over, etc. And there's a certain, sorry, I was just looking at comments.
Yeah, Sherry wants to know, how would it work with someone who has hearing loss or is deaf?
For the Akashic Records?
Yes.
That's an interesting question. Well, I mean, first of all, Raylan is like the queen signer. She can certainly guide you through that. What I would say is, first of all, we would connect on something called Zoom, which we could use the chat box for, right, if we needed to. But, I mean, I know for you in particular, Sherry, you have devices that you can use to help you, that you're trying to practice with to kind of tune in, right? So I don't know if I believe there's an interpreting service, isn't there?
Yeah, there are interpreting services, but of course, since you know me and, I would be available, but Sherry does communicate very well. But yes, for anybody who does have, hearing loss, et cetera. Yeah. Mm-hmm.
Yeah. So, but yes, I mean, we would use an interpreter. So I could call Raylan and use her, or there are other services I know for different languages as well. Other practitioners can call in through interpreting lines and use that to help them. But the other thing that I like about the records is that once you like guides our energy and brings our physical body to a calmer state, and then at that point we go through a ritual to open the Akashic Records, and I guide you through that. And then when we get into the records, messages can come through to you as well, but I usually do a lot of the reading, right? And I will simply share whatever comes through. So it could be, and you'll give me a worksheet beforehand with questions you have or things you want to explore. And so I'll have images, symbols, colors, beings that will come through and either give messages or gesture with, or show me scenes that play out. And what I do is I just relay these scenes, or I'll relay the images that I see, because I am not to interpret these things, right? These are things that may make sense to the person who is receiving them. So I want to hear that first. And I also, like the other day, I did a reading for somebody and a symbol and a scene came through, and I was like, well, what does that mean? Like that doesn't seem related at all. So when that happens, I just tune in and I ask what it means, and then they show me more. And I mean, like I said before, it baffles me every time how much comes through, but that I've literally yet to leave an Akashic Record session without having all the questions answered. Next steps, sometimes even a timeline, specific protocol. It's absolutely unbelievable. And I leave feeling very surreal. Like I leave feeling like, did I just do that? But when I'm in that space, it is so clear to me what's coming from my own brain and what's coming from spirit. So clear. Like the other day when I was in with somebody, and obviously I've been a therapist for 15 years. So, I have things that I would like to suggest, right? But in that space, I really don't very much. But when I do, I stop and I say, okay, this isn't spirit talking. This is from me. And what I usually tell my patients is blah, blah, blah. And they can kind of dismiss that or do with it what they want, but then I can tune back in.
Right.
So it's really powerful, because they also call me to do Reiki in the records a lot. And that energy is only amplified, magnified, whatever you want to say, in that space, because the Akashic Records is the highest frequency of energy that we can tap into. So we can feel kind of tired after a reading, drink a lot of water, move that energy, because we are in a very high frequency space, and we are dense down here in our physical bodies on Earth, right?
Mhm.
So
Yes.
it can be hard for us to keep up with that kind of change and with that kind of transformation.
Yes.
So, let me know if you guys have questions. Oh, Sherry was just asking in general. Okay. Did we answer your question, Sherry? Okay. So the other thing I wanted you to talk about, Raylan, was the emotion code, because I did work with the emotion code. And it was one of my, it's actually up next on my certification list. Yay!
Yay.
But as soon as I finish this one.
Yes.
But because there were a few modalities that have been the most powerful for me with my healing. The Akashic records is the most for me, definitely.
Mhm.
Went that route. And Reiki as well. But the other one is the emotion code.
Mhm.
Level of transformation that I found from one session.
Yeah.
And what drew me to it was the idea that when you clear trapped emotions in the emotion code, they're gone forever.
Yep.
Like forever cleared and erased. And I was like, well, sign me up. That's
Right?
what I want. Yeah. And so I love that too, because even if you learn the emotion code, you can do it to yourself. I mean, you can do the same thing with Reiki as well and the Akashic records. But that's what I like about all these modalities, is that I'm not just telling people what to do and being directive. They can learn them and do them on their own. It's very empowering.
Yes.
So go nuts on the emotion code.
So yeah, so the emotion code was, it is a book, and I highly recommend it. It's called The Emotion Code by Dr. Bradley Nelson, and he's a chiropractor. I think he's retired now. I'm not sure that he's in practice any longer, but he discovered that many of his patients he did kinesiology and that sort of thing too as part of his work as a chiropractor, but he would discover that many of his patients were coming back with the same issues and the same emotional issues as well. And as we know, and even Hippocrates, the premier doctor, medicine man that we look to, right, that informs Western medicine and just medicine in general today. We know that emotions can and often do manifest in physical symptoms. So he began to really kind of ponder this and really spent a lot of time in study and meditation about it, frankly, and was led by spirit to begin using kinesiology to ask questions of the individual of what these emotions were that continued to rise. And it just developed from there. And it uses muscle testing. But in the case for myself, I have a lot of clients, and you and I live distantly. But as we know, through Reiki and elsewise, energy is everything, right? And energy can be felt through time, space. There's no limit on energy. There's only the limits that we, in our finite thinking and our human, again, desire to control, put on anything, really, honestly. So energy flows through time and space. And so we can do emotion code testing by, it's called proxy. Essentially, I just connect with my client, with you, for example, and it's really simple. I just use like interlocked fingers, and I know if I'm getting a yes statement, they'll stay locked, and it works. And if I'm getting a no statement, they will unclick. Like it won't stay.
Right.
So it's as easy as that. But it's a series of questions that we ask. The reality behind it is that we have our conscious mind, our thinking mind, that's constantly chattering and talking and all of that, and thinks it's running the show, really. But it's our subconscious mind. And I point to landmarks on my face just to kind of show what am I trying to say? Just kind of give people an idea of, we have the theory of mind is like a circle. The conscious mind lives at the top 1%, really, and everything below that, 1-2%, everything below that is our subconscious mind. The subconscious mind is really the driver of the bus of all of our thoughts and actions and behaviors. And the subconscious mind knows exactly what is going on with us at any given moment. So when we have an emotional reaction and an emotional awareness to something, the subconscious mind is what's triggered, because it pulls on a memory from our filing cabinet and brings it forward. And then we're reacting to the memory, believe it or not. We are not reacting to the event that's happening before us. So this really involves too a level, and what I work with on clients and what you work with on clients is a level of understanding of training our mind, mastering our mind. Because once we've mastered our mind, then we have emotional freedom.
Yeah.
We don't react, we respond. So emotion code can remove those trapped emotions that get in the way of the desire or the ability to respond rather than react. So what it does is we ask a series of questions, and the subconscious mind directs us to where the need is to be released. And it's based on really honestly a good working diorama of the premier and prevalent emotions that we hold in our awareness at any given time. And often what we find is that the emotions that come forward are emotions that are been handed down to us through our ancestry, right? Yep. They're not even ours. And I think for you, there were several of those that went generations back.
35 generations back, or like 87 generations back for some of those, emotions that were trapped.
And the amazing thing is that it's not only removed from you, but it's removed from who you received it from, and then it's removed from who they received it from. So it goes back.
And then it's cleaning the slate for my children.
100%.
Your generations. It's such a powerful technique.
Yep.
And, we can do that in the records, right? In the records, I can take people back to past lives. I can take people back to future lives. I can take people forward to future lives. And do Reiki and healing and clearing for those lives as well. But the emotion code is, it's so like killing on stone, because you've got all these generations and you're just wiping it. It's much more targeted, which I like. But, you don't have to do every technique under the sun to be healed and transformed. You can pick a few that you like. And that's kind of why we thought we'd do this today, because I remember when I first started looking into this work, it was very overwhelming. I mean, there's a million different modalities, and some of them I probably have not even explored or gotten to yet on my own.
Right.
Like, for instance, you're doing quantum healing now, right, Raylan?
Yes.
Do you have enough info about that to share just a little bit about what that might be?
So quantum healing is, for me, my perceived use of that is going to be in relationship to everything else that I'm doing with Reiki, hypnosis, past life readings, emotion code, the work, etc. It just adds it's adding another layer to the healing modalities that I already am trained in and use in the quantum space. And so we know from quantum physics and things like that, a lot of that is hard to understand, but we know that what we see in this reality is not really the reality as we view it, if that makes sense. I know that sounded circular. Everything is vibrating, right? Everything is vibrational. I'm vibrational, you are. The atoms that make up our body, there is spaces between the subatom particles, and that distance is equivalent to us to, I think, I don't know, several outside galaxies of galaxies outside of our solar system that we're aware of. That's the equivalent of the space that vibrates at any given point in time between our atoms. And so everything is energy and everything is vibration. And so quantum healing brings that into a healing modality. Deepak Chopra has written on quantum healing And gosh, I wish I could remember the gentleman that really kind of brought the healing modality to the forefront. I have the book sitting on my shelf, but anyway.
That's okay.
Yeah, I'm really excited about doing that because it's like you with bringing more modalities into the Akashic records, quantum healing, same thing. So it's really adding that transcendent energy to everything that we do.
Yeah, and just like you told me, as I transform, my business will transform, right?
Yes.
And that's the way that, all of the work that I've done in myself comes into the Akashic Records. And I think that the reason that Spirit chooses me with a certain person is because of the techniques that I've used either as a therapist or for my own healing, so that I kind of am able to get those messages and how they're sending them through, really be able to understand and be able to communicate them to somebody who, Spirit's obviously going to place me with somebody who's going to be able to receive that from me, who's going to be able to understand that. And so, I use inner child work when I'm in the records. I use magnetic writing in the records. I use crystals in the records. I use sound healing in the records. There's all of these things that I've tried and dipped my toe in or gone full force, can come and come together as one. And when they do, the power is like out of control.
100%. Yeah.
Yeah. And the fact is there's just overlap between some of these things. Now, the emotion code in particular, I know is a little bit more specific in the way that you do it. Like, you do your muscle testing, and then when you clear the emotion, you take a magnet and you go up and down the meridian, the energy meridian, right? To clear the emotion. And so it's really a lot of you waving your arms around, and then we just sit there and receive it. Yeah.
Well, and they use a magnet. This is what I received in the class, right? And it's the chart with all the emotions on here, so it's handy. And then the back of it is a magnet. And the way that it is explained is that, so magnets, if I took a credit card and ran this magnet on the back of the credit card, it would wipe out all of that information and data that is stored on that credit card.
Yeah.
It is the same within our energy. Again, we're energetic beings, right? We have an energy field and it's magnetic. We can pull things toward us. We attract people to us, right? And we can also repel things away from us. You get two magnets on the attraction side and they stick immediately. You flip one of them to the repel side, to the negative polar, right? And the positive polar, and they push apart, right? So the power of wiping that clean is in the magnet, but you can also do it with your hand.
Yeah.
Because our hands, we're energy, we're magnetic as well, right?
Right. Well, and that's,
so you can do that. Yeah.
That's why we're told to go outside and ground in Mother Earth. Because you remember that, I can't remember whether, are we negatively charged and the Earth is positively charged, or is it the opposite? I can't remember. I always get it wrong. All I know is it's the opposite of one another, okay? Yeah. And I don't really think I need to know, other than to sound really intelligent. But so that's why we go outside, and we're supposed to put our physical body, not with shoes, not with socks, our skin, onto Mother Earth, not the concrete, but the dirt, the grass, right, the rocks, so that that charge is balanced. That's what grounding is. That's why we need to kind of even that out to balance out our energy field.
And there's even people that live by, it's called earthing, and that's what grounding essentially is, just walking around out in nature without shoes on. And kids get it. I mean, I never wore shoes when I was a kid. I ran around barefoot all the time. My feet were disgusting and dirty. I was always washing them at night, but I loved it. And I spent hours and hours outside playing in the dirt, making mud cakes, all of that stuff. I loved it, putting my hands in the dirt. That's why it's so healing to do gardening for people, etc. So yeah. I don't know if you want, I have a channel message if you want me to share that at some point.
Bring it in, baby.
Yeah. Is that all right?
Yep.
Are we done with emotion code, or
I wanted to give people an idea, because I feel like sometimes my feeling is, okay,
you want to do like a little mini demonstration of it right now?
Yeah, let's do that.
Okay, let's do that. Oh, guys, this is exciting. Okay. All right, so I'm going to connect with Laura right now. So I am Laura, I am Laura, I'm Laura. Okay, we're connected. Are there any, first of all, do you give your permission to release trapped emotions today?
I do.
Okay, good. All right. I figured you would. Oh, hold on. Inez said
She says yes.
Okay, so she wants to see this. Okay, so I am Laura. Okay. All right. Are there trapped emotions we can release from Laura today? Yes. Thank you for that, Laura. Row 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, row 6, column A, column B, column B. Pride, shame, shock, unworthy, unworthy, and worth, unworthy.
Shock.
Okay? Right? Unworthy. So do we have permission to release that from Laura today? Yes, we do. All right. Awesome. Has this emotion been released from Laura today? Yes. Do we have any other trapped emotions? Yes. Row 1, row 2, column B, failure, helplessness, hopelessness, lack of control, low self-esteem.
Oh my God.
We laugh because we were just talking about this yesterday. So, all right. So that's quite a list of emotions there. About 5 or 6 emotions right there.
Quite.
All right. Do we need to know any more about this? Yes. Did this originate with Laura? No. Was this at conception? Yes. Through mother? No. Father? Yes. Through father. Okay. 5, 10, 15, 20, 30, 40, 50, 40, 1, 2, 3, 43 generations through your father at conception. Okay, so that is an indication it's not your set of emotions that are coming forward. Again, like we were talking earlier, this is generational trauma, if you will, generational emotions that have been passed down through your father's line 43 generations. It's a lot of people.
Yeah.
So can we release these from Laura, her father, and 43 generations? Yes, we can. All right. And I'm moving through the governor meridian. The governor meridian follows the vagus nerve, which follows our spinal cord. It connects our entire being from our coccyx down or up to our brain, up to our brainstem, okay? And that also follows the energy centers that we know as chakras, okay? And the governor meridian flows up the center of the front of our body and back down. So it follows like a egg shape.
Yep.
Up the front and down the back of our body. And so they're all in alignment, and it's all tied to our spinal cord, right? Where we get our stature, our structure, our foundation for walking upright, etc. Okay. And our nerves and everything operate off of that. So wiping it off of the governor meridian then is releasing it from that control center area, right? So have we released these from Laura, her father, and 43 generations? Yes. Powerful, powerful. Are there any more trapped emotions? Any heart walls? No. Okay.
Yeah, we could probably go on all day. They'll probably say yes in 48 hours.
Right? Right? Awesome. Awesome.
Yeah, I think that's good because I remember too, when I started this stuff, I didn't really know what to expect from a session. And I'd be like, okay, people talk about this and that, but what happens? You know, what does it look like? What does it feel like? And so thank you for that, because I feel like people can really envision what that's going to look like if they wanted to book an emotion code with you. And why don't you put a link in the comments too while we're at it here, so that people can contact you at the Healing Space if they have questions or need more info on what you do and the services that you provide.
Thank you.
No problem. So you said you had a message from Spirit to bring through?
I do.
Okay. What do you got?
Okay. I will add my Facebook page in a moment.
Yep.
Okay. I'll read this first. All right. So this came forward yesterday. So what's been happening, these messages have been just increasing. So Or I'll just read it. This is nothing that I wrote. My hand wrote it, but it's not, these are not my words. This is not my writing voice. It's not me.
Right.
All right. Again, like you said before, when you go into the Akashic, you share things with people that, why on earth would you say anything like that ever, right? Yep. And people can tell. Mm-hmm. All right. Awesome. You're welcome, Inez. You're so welcome. Thank you for watching. All right, we wish to speak and share with you on divine connection and divine synchronicities, as you call them. From the eternal, they are simply aligned actions that present at the appointed time when you are most receptive and most open to receive. It is in these moments that we wish you to live and remain in at all times. You speak of the flow or the zone. All we say is that you seem to lose your grip on that vibration that brings you into alignment in the first place. We know how you do it. You begin to look around as the one called Peter did outside the boat walking to the one on the water, and you lose all connection with the aligned, the eternal. It is at this point that we wish to encourage strongly, remind you really, that it is your choice and yours alone to disconnect. There is no movement on this end of the connection. It is you that loosens your grip or takes your eyes off of the eternal, and then fear overcomes you and you begin to sink. The solution is simple. Remain connected to the eternal, the where that you came from. We recognize you chose this human path, though as we has stated, it's a curious thing, but the path you're on has room enough to remain in connection and to experience all there is that you seek from your human vantage point. They aren't a mutually exclusive relationship. There is room at the table for both. The law of compensation you've spoken of doesn't apply in the eternal. Where do you think that message came from to begin with? The one shared it as a symbol for the earthly limits and relationships the human experience can understand and manage, but it certainly holds no place in divine connection. All exists at once and is at all times in harmony. This brings us, we, to divine synchronicities. It is that concept of harmony we just spoke of. You marvel at how seemingly random events align as the stars and come together to produce a result. We simply speak, this is exactly the vibration of harmony, resonance, alignment, the is of all. And the eternal wants you to understand and realize that harmony always exists at all times. The eternal is harmony, and all that is exists in it. Do you understand that? It is that simple as connection. It is found one and the same in and with the eternal. We are sharing simple concepts here, and yet we know that they challenge your human experience. All moments happen together at once, in harmony always, but it has been slowed down due to the limits that human understanding has prescribed in order to process each moment. It is as though you are living in slow motion, so you catch each movement. Yet you do not recognize, even in the slowness, the gift that harmony and connection bring to the whole moment known as life. We wish for you to hear this fully and to embrace this completely. And then it says, we will patiently remind you that all has the same access, same soul, same eternalness that allows for constant connection, constant harmony, but for your choice. Remember, it was you that chose to go at this experience with the perception of separation. We spoke on that and remind you that there exists only connection and oneness. Separation is fear, and that is false. It does not exist. This is the same with connection and harmony. They remain constant. It is only your choice to step out of it and remove yourself from it. That stops your experience of it. There is always more to say and share, of course. We speak the eternal always, but this is enough for you to consider and remember for now. We, so shall it be below as it is above, in all things, always, at all times. In connection and harmony, we.
Right. So there's that.
Right.
Yeah. I mean, and I think that it's really important for you to share too, what this process looks like for you. Like, how do you even do that? Right. And what I think is you get this information as you access spirit, as you use these techniques, as you tap into your higher self repeatedly over time. Right. And then it becomes automatic and you can just be sitting there having your coffee and something comes through and you start to write. But I think the process of automatic writing is something that I know you really believe in, that I really believe in, and I use all the time to bring through things like this. So can you share how this even started coming through for you?
Oh, dang. Yeah. So again, back when I was first learning Reiki, I was journaling my process with Reiki, and I think the things that I was discovering and what I was doing with it. And I mean, I Reiki'd everything. You can. So, right. And my friends and I, as we took the class and we did our second level attunement and we could send through time and space and distance, all of that, we started Reikiing each other and it was amazing. So you talked about that earlier. You really can see the differences. So through journaling, I guess somewhere somebody had told me about automatic writing, and they said literally you just begin writing whatever words come into your awareness. So I thought, okay, this is really kind of hokey. Really? Does that really work? But me being me, I get curious, and I began to try it.
Yeah.
So I started doing it and I would get random words and it was so crazy. But then, and I would just write and then I would put it away and I told myself, I'm not going to read it and I'm going to wait and see what comes forward. And so then I read it, I don't know, maybe a week, 2 weeks, 3 weeks later, whatever the time period was. And I read through and I was like, oh, dude, there's stuff in there.
Yeah.
Where did this come from? And I don't remember writing it, right? So it's just kind of been a process that just started, but these have been coming forward even more. And I would say I went to a retreat in Sedona in April with the Wellness Universe. We're going in November, and it's called Soul Treat. And I'll put the link in here too for people if they are curious about it and interested. So we'll put the link in there. But when I went, I attended a writing workshop and I was the last person in the class. I was so excited about that. So as part of that, right, who is now a friend, but writing mentor to both of us, Laura DeFranco, badass, Brave Healers. You can find her on Facebook.
Yeah, she's amazing.
And she is amazing. So she had prompted us with something and I just started writing, and what came forward again was a channeled message in that class, and I was led to share and shared it and blew me away and the rest of the class. I don't know that anybody said anything. You could kind of hear a pin drop. And she even said then, she said, do you understand that that was a channeled message? And everybody in the group went, yes. What the heck just happened?
Wow.
And I sat there, I was crying because I was kind of scared and I didn't know, I was like, wow, this is profound. But again, it was not me. I literally was just the pen to the paper.
Right. And I think that, in the interest of sharing techniques with others, and I know we only have a couple minutes left, but in the interest in sharing techniques with others, to understand that when I started automatic writing too, it had nothing to do with spirituality, right? It had nothing to do with energy work, at least that I knew of. And so I would start writing and I was really taught and learned to just start writing any words down that came to my mind, like deciding intentionally, okay, I'm going to sit down and I'm just going to journal. And it doesn't have to be organized. It doesn't have to be in complete sentences or make sense. And usually at the beginning, I started with a bunch of random curse words because I had a little anger to get off the top. Yeah. And I just really like
shocked.
Yeah, I know, it really surprises you. So I would just write like and like all these curse words. And then it would eventually take form after I got over myself and I kind of settled into it a little bit.
Right.
Yeah, I found that process to be unbelievably effective just for journaling in general, because by the time you get to the end, you're organized. You have gotten to the core, to the depth of what's going on with you, no matter what you started with. And I find that effective anyway, but if you do that in addition to being in a meditative space, right, then you amplify that effect, you move that energy, and you're opening yourself up to receiving more of that inspiration because you're centered with your higher self. You're removing the ego. There isn't that noise around.
Yes.
So thank you for sharing that, because I think it's such a valuable process.
Oh, thank you. And, it's meditative, but also it literally just requires you to stop second guessing, quit with the, what do I want to say? Quit with the editing of yourself and literally just write words. When I first started out, it would be like sky, blue, random, chalk, cookies, cake, whatever, right? Literally it's whatever word comes into your awareness, you write it down.
Yep.
And it can go pretty quickly, so you can ask it to slow down, and it will respond to you. And then things will just flow. But, like you said,
your intuition. It definitely is excellent. And
huge developmental tool. Yes, for that.
Yes, definitely. A lot of times in the records, they'll just bring me things through writing, while I'm in the space with somebody too. So, all right. So I'm going to pull a card for everybody before we jump off. Okay. I'm pulling this from the Earth Magic deck by Stephen Farmer. It's one of my favorite decks ever. It was actually my first deck ever. So it's like so close to my heart, and I just love it, love it, love it. So I'm going to put our collective energy on the cards, my friends.
Yay, you have great decks.
I do, and I want more.
I know.
And cards, my friends, are another very good way for you to kind of start, right? And kind of tune into trusting and getting messages from spirit, and really personalizing your own guidance and working with it, using it as, what's it called? Journaling prompts, affirmations. Okay, so we got the wolf instinct.
Oh.
Okay, you look at that image and try to get an idea of what comes to your minds first before I read the description. See if anything comes to mind for you. Oh, and I put the book down over here. All right, so let me just read you guys wolf. Some of the strongest characteristics of our brother and sister wolves are loyalty, companionship, playfulness, and affection. They are exceptional parents and take great care of their young. We see similarities to wolves in domesticated dogs, particularly in certain breeds. Yet these tamed and distant relatives have long ago transferred their loyalty and pack behavior to humans. Yet wolves are still carnivorous wild animals, surviving by seeking out whatever food is available that meets their dietary needs. This is instinctually driven and is the most basic and natural drive that all living things possess. Over the centuries, the encroachment of civilization into the wolves' natural territories and the periodic scarcity of game have prompted these beings to hunt wherever they could, which at times include a rancher's or farmer's cattle or sheep. This, in turn, has triggered a desire for revenge by these people so that they hunt and kill wolves, which has decimated their ranks. It's the so-called civilized world clashing with the world of the wild and instinctual. Well, isn't that like basically what I'm going through right now? All right, so it says the interpretation of this card is you've lost touch with your instinctual sensitivities. It's the result of cultural and or religious prescriptions dictating that anything wild and instinctual is threatening and therefore has to be controlled or eliminated. Oh my God, this is exactly what I talked to you about yesterday. Like,
yes, it is. Yeah.
Now it's time to overcome this limited mindset and tune into these instinctual cues. Let the spirit of wolf be your teacher and call upon this benevolent being for help identifying what these cues are saying. Shed your inhibitions with the only guideline being to do no harm. Experiment by getting out of the straitjacket of familiar societal norms and listening to those sensations in your gut that are trying to give you a message. It may be a warning or urging to take action of some sort. Take some deep breaths. Notice your bodily sensations and what they're telling you. Your mind will be the receiver of the information, and your body and mind can work more closely with each other once again. Holy.
Yeah, that came forward yesterday in Journaling Junkies group. Wow. Wow.
So there you go, my friends. I hope that it resonated with you too, but that was like so consistent with what I literally said that I was having that exact issue to Raylyn yesterday in Journaling group.
Yep. And I guarantee it will resonate with those watching live and watching the replay. Yeah. Wow.
So, my friends, thank you, Raylyn, so much for being here today and for sharing your wisdom and your different modalities and just being very open about your journey. And friends, next week we are not going to have a show on Monday because I'm going to be on vacation. And it's my 17-year wedding anniversary on July 7th as well.
On July 7th, happy anniversary. Happy anniversary, baby.
Anniversary.
Mind. Woo! Maybe we'll have a dance party the week after.
We're going to do the week after. I'm going to have another guest on. And Raylyn, do you want to talk very, very briefly for like 1 minute, since people probably have to go, about high vibin' or not yet?
Oh, yeah. Okay, so stay tuned. We are going live, Laura and I. We're taking this show on the road, folks. This is just a preview of what we're bringing. It's our show together called High Vibin' with Raylyn and Laura. And we will be broadcasting on Laura's page and on my page. And we're going to spend time together. We're going to have a lot of fun. We want to make your awakening and energy development and all of that process fun and light and happy and interesting. And we're also going to have guests on there too. And what did we decide? We're starting on is it the 25th? It's a Tuesday.
So it's 23rd. 1 p.m. Eastern time, 10 a.m. Raylyn's time, which is what, Mountain Standard? And
yes, Mountain Standard. Yep.
So we're going to be starting on the 23rd. It's going to be every Tuesday at 1. And yeah, I mean, obviously the name being High Vibe, and it's about raising our energy, raising our vibration, right? How do we do that? We're going to help teach you guys techniques how to do that. We are very high vibe when we're together. So we're going to get everybody pumped up. So we're going to start that on the 23rd. So keep your eyes open for that. But I will be live on my page at this time, not next Monday, but the following Monday with another guest. So I can continue presenting just different modalities and healing methods that you guys can get exposed to and learn about, so that this doesn't seem so overwhelming. You can say, okay, well, that sounds good, or that doesn't really sound like it resonates with me. And please feel free to reach out to either one of us. Yeah. To ask questions. And don't forget to share, so that you can get into a drawing for winning a free session with me. Okay. Yes.
If you haven't had one with Laura yet, you need to, because it's pretty amazing and incredible.
Amazing. I'm really pretty amazing. No, it's not me, it's spirit, but I'm very willing to hold space for you guys if you want to do this work, because I'm telling you, it has completely changed my life. Completely changed my life. So, all right, my love. It was so fun hanging out with you, Raylyn.
I know, we did it.
We did it. Even with our tech issues, we did it.
Yay.
All right, friends. So have a fabulous couple weeks for me. And, Raylyn, on July 5th, which is your birthday, we're having a show on your page with Amanda Marie Masters, right?
So on Thursday, actually on July 4th, I'm joining with Amanda Marie Masters, and she'll be on my page, yes. And then on the 5th, the podcast with Laura DeFranco, our badass warrior goddess friend and writing mentor. She had me on her show for her podcast. So I'll be sending those links up on the page on Wednesday. Yep.
Yeah, you are just like the show queen right now. Okay. Good luck and have fun. Everybody tune in to see Raylyn, because she's a shining light and we love her.
Oh, thank you. I love you. Thank you. Thank you, guys.
Bye.
Bye. Bye.